Iran. They're up to no good. We obliterated the Iranian nuclear facilities. We did not obliterate Iran's desire to have a nuclear weapon. The regime hadn't changed at all. They still want to kill all the Jews, consider America the great Satan, and purify Islam. Are they regenerating their nuclear capability? Are they building more ballistic missiles that could hurt Europe and Israel? I don't know, but there's evidence to suggest they are. I would recommend, if there's credible evidence that Iran is going back into the enrichment business at other sites, that they're trying to build more ballistic missiles to terrorize Israel and maybe Europe, that we hit them before they can do that. The one thing I've learned about radical Islam, the only language it understands is force. So I am hopeful we can put Hamas on a time clock. The trend lines in Lebanon are, quite frankly, optimistic. The Lebanese government has decided to call for Hezbollah to disarm. If Hezbollah gave up their heavy weapons, that would be a godsend for Lebanon and the region. If Hezbollah refuses to give up their heavy weapons, down the road we should engage in military operations working with Lebanon, Israel, and the United States, where we fly with Israel, like we did with Iran, to take Hezbollah out. Once you take Hamas and Hezbollah off the table, two proxies of Iran, the likelihood of a Saudi-Israel deal goes up dramatically. I think Lebanon would be a good candidate to expand the Abraham Accords once Hezbollah is dealt with. So Hezbollah either voluntarily gives up their heavy weapons, or we have to come up with a military campaign to achieve that goal.
Let me ask you about the other major conflict. You're focused on Ukraine. I want to read some comments that Secretary of State Marco Rubio made to Vanity Fair about President Putin. He said, quote, "There are offers on the table right now to basically stop this war at its current lines of contact, which include substantial parts of Ukrainian territory, including Crimea, which they controlled since 2014, and the Russians continue to turn it down." And so you start to wonder, well, maybe what this guy wants is the entire country. Do you think President Trump is underestimating President Putin's willingness to stay in this war?
I'm not so sure he's underestimating his willingness. I think we're overestimating the people negotiating, who are good friends, Putin's willingness to end the war. Listen, we've made great progress between Ukraine, Europe, and the United States to come up with a proposal that would end the war. We're not going to evict every Russian out of Ukraine. I understand that. But I want a deal that would prevent a third invasion. I want European troops on the ground to make sure there's no third invasion. I want us to give security guarantees to Ukraine to make sure there's no third invasion. I think Putin's going to continue to take the Donbass by force until we increase pressure. So here's what I think. We're going to be loosey with the football if we don't watch it. We keep engaging Russia. We keep engaging, trying to lure Putin to the peace table, and he rebuffs all of our efforts. If he says no this time, here's what I hope President Trump will do. Signed my bill that has 85 co-sponsors and put tariffs on countries like China who buy cheap Russian oil. Make Russia a state sponsor of terrorism for kidnapping 20,000 Ukrainian kids. And most importantly, seize ships that are carrying sanctioned Russian oil like you're doing in Venezuela. If Putin says no, we need to dramatically change the game, including giving Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine to hit the drone and missile factories that exist in Russia. I would go all in if Putin says no.